back with another episode of On the Record with Tiffany, and I'm your host, Tiffany Smith. Today, we're flipping the script, and it's going to be me talking to you about what's going on at Texas Kidney Foundation, my day job. So I have a friend here who's going to ask me a few questions, and I'm going to be the one in the hot seat. So his name is Zach Seibert. He is the president and CEO of Legend Productions. So I'm in pretty good hands. Zach is doing all the production work, and he's going to be the host for this one.
So what special legislation are we talking about today? What's the name of it, and why is it important?
Well, this past week, Texas Kidney Foundation had an amazing week. We introduced in the Texas House, House Bill 4015. That was done in conjunction with our partners in the Chronic Kidney Disease Task Force. And what that is it's a project that we worked on. Oh, it's been a while that TKF has been working on the Chronic Kidney Disease Task Force. And what it is an amalgamation of the best minds in Texas with multiple perspectives. It's a very diverse group. And our job was to help the state of Texas to see how we would address chronic kidney disease in the future. Well, the Chronic Kidney Disease Task Force isn't charged with just writing a paper, which they did. We wrote a 46-page paper, which from beginning to end tells you what should be done for chronic kidney disease. However, after the paper, the fun begins. And that's where our legislative committee, led by Ms. Rita Littlefield, came up with what the bill was that would be the first step in us getting the Rita Littlefield Resource Center. The center is named after Rita because Rita has spent 3 decades pounding the pavement, walking through those hallowed halls of the House and the Senate and of the state capitol. She's been on the floor of the Senate. She's been on the floor of the House. She was in committee for the House this week, speaking on behalf of House Bill 4015. And that bill is going to help us to address kidney disease, to deal with early detection, education, and support of the patients and the providers. So it was pretty substantial. Then in the Senate, Texas Kidney Foundation stood up for you, stood up for patients and for the providers, because everyone experienced the winter freeze. The winter freeze was tough on all of us. However, we can't just let it go now that we're all thawed out. So we had to start thinking through the process. Okay, what's going to happen next? And the wonderful, honorable Boris Miles came up with a bill, Senate Bill 1876. That bill addresses the Public Utilities Commission and the need for kidney disease patients to be a priority in our crisis management plan. So we went out and said, hey, we love this bill. And we were asked to give a statement on the floor of the House, and we did. We hung around and listened to the legislative process and how it works, all of the bills that were being introduced. And at 8 p.m. on Wednesday night, we were able to give our testimony. So it was a pretty momentous week for the kidney world in Texas. I'm Tiffany Jones-Smith, Chief Executive Officer of the Texas Kidney Foundation, and I'm here representing myself and the foundation, and I'm in support of SB 1876.
SB 1876 is basically creating the first step in a plan that would be a comprehensive plan for Texas in terms of an emergency response. We desperately need that. We saw that when we had the freeze a couple of months ago. Hospital ERs were inundated. So were the dialysis units. We have over 750 dialysis units in Texas, and 50% of them were inoperable. We have to have water. We need pressure per square inch. Every person who is dialyzed needs potted water, and they need 39 to 47 gallons of it to be dialyzed. So you can imagine what kind of a problem this presented when dialysis is 3 to 4 times a week, and it's 3 hours to 5 hours depending on the patient each time. So I'm in love with this bill because it will create something that we desperately need, and that's a comprehensive plan with all of our partners communicating. So the power people communicating with Network 14, which is our go-to guys for crisis management with chronic kidney disease. With anybody that is in end-stage renal disease, that they really are the place that we turn to, and they do a stellar job. We just need the communication piece with the power and water. That was a disaster for us. I love Texas. We're an island unto ourselves, and that's great. But we have to be able to take care of every person that's on that island. And this is the first step in doing that.
Well said. I appreciate your putting into words potable water and everything else, and what the storm did was disastrous. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I've lost 9 family members to chronic kidney disease. That's why I do this. So yeah, I show up and knock on people's doors and sit outside their offices and all that stuff. You know, that's just what we do as Texans. It's called Texas ingenuity. So thank you for letting me show some of it today.
Amen.
So when you were visiting the Capitol, I know that they've taken lots of precautions in COVID. What was the experience like?
Wow. Okay. So the Capitol prior to this, you just went in. Yes, you have to go through, the little thing where they scan you and everything. For safety, you do that, and you still do it. But this time there was a tent out front, and you had to get COVID tested. And that happens every day. So if you go on Wednesday, you got to get COVID tested. If you go back on Thursday, you got to get COVID tested. The only way that you don't is if you have a card that says you've been vaccinated for COVID-19. So it was a different experience in that way. It was different in terms of social distancing in the gallery. They were very, very vigilant about where you sat, how you moved within the gallery. There's been so much that's been happening nationally in terms of security and just with the pandemic in general that, it was very different. Though I have to say our senators and our representatives, their doors are still always open to the people. They are for the people. We elected them, and they know that their job is to serve us. So when you go into their offices, they're still willing to talk to you and let you in. They're happy to see constituents come by and share what their experiences are and what they feel is important about the state of Texas and how we're running things.
So I believe you said that you arrived at the Capitol around 8:30 in the morning, and then you weren't able to testify until around 8 that evening.
Yes.
So what what did you do from the time you got there until you were able to testify?
Okay,
Let's
I
give it
arrived
12
there at like,
hours.
I know, I arrived there at 7:30, and what I did was I sat there. I sat there the entire time and sort of I drank in the importance and the gravitas of the moment, listening to the bills that were being presented and thinking about the time that was put into those bills. And then I looked at who was testifying, because I saw some of our fellow San Antonians, the firefighters from San Antonio were there, and they were also talking about safety issues as they related to the fire department. So it was a good time to get to see that our city is well represented there. Sometimes you can, when you're not in the state capitol, it can feel like what we desire in San Antonio isn't being heard. So to see that we're hopping in the car, going up to the Capitol and doing what we should be doing as Texans and as independent Americans, that was good. So I spent time doing that and visiting with my vice president. Zach's the vice president too. The guy wears a lot of hats.
I don't think anybody knows that part of that.
Well, I'm breaking the news.
So overall, what was the experience like? Was it an enjoyable experience, exciting? Was it draining?
There is something exhilarating about being in the Capitol. Like the energy there, you can feel that change is afoot. That it's a place where if you want to change the world, you go to the Capitol. You go to our state capitol. You go to the capital of the nation. It's in those hallowed halls that the world changes. It's through policy.
So right around the time we had a lunch break, we walked back to try to see if we could have a word with the senator that I think was championing the SB 1876.
That's right. That is the Honorable Boris Miles.
And so as we're walking around in one of the hallways, you were looking up at the photos on the wall of past members of the Senate, and you looked over and you said something to me. Do you have any idea what I'm referring to?
When I was talking about the woman that was in the Senate?
Yes. But
I was
then you said something about yourself. You said something along the lines of, I never, it's crazy that I would, as a Black woman, I would be able to.
Yeah,
to
that's exactly what okay, so what Zach is referencing is we were looking at all of the pictures and it was like from 1912 and 1920. We're looking at pictures from back then. That's what was, so it was the photographs were like of the whole Senate, whole Senate committee from then. And I was like, this is the craziest thing for me to be walking in these halls, because I would not have been able to at that time. I would not be, and this is what democracy is to be able, is the change that has occurred in this nation over all this time, over a short period of time, because in our minds, it's a long period of time because we are used to the social media world where everything happens so quickly. But really, in terms of the span of life and the span of humanity that humanity has been in this country, that's a short period of time from 1912 to now. For me to be able to walk in those halls and I've said this before, but I don't think I've ever said it on camera, but my grandmother was a maid. And so she worked as a maid for a financial advisor. And it was, my husband is with a firm. And my husband joined this firm, and when we mentioned it to my grandmother, it was the same firm that the financial advisor that she worked for. So this guy worked for the same firm as my husband. Only my husband is in the position where he would have been that guy's boss. My grandmother, she cried like it was like, you know, it was the most poignant moment for her to know that could happen, because she didn't think that at that time. She didn't think that Black people could do something like that, you know? So to see where we've come from, like, this is a great nation. It's always been a great nation. We have our flaws, but it's a great place to be, because you can go from nothing, from having absolutely nothing, to a completely different life, to whatever it is you desire to be. And that, I think about all the shoulders that I stand on. A lot of people came before me in order for me to have the opportunities I have today. So whenever I'm in the Capitol, that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about. Like, wow, look at this. Look at where we are. Look at the fact that there's a multitude of people there. If you look around when you're at the Capitol, you see so many different ethnic backgrounds there. And the beauty of sitting in that Senate gallery was actually seeing the wheels at work. And I want to define that for you. We have Democrats and Republicans in our Senate, just as we do in our House. And if you went to or watched a Senate, the Senate convene and debate a bill like we did, bill after bill, and very controversial ones like Senate Bill 29, which has to do with the transgender issue. Everybody treated everybody else with respect. They heard out the other side, walked through what their differences were, why they strongly felt. The general chairwoman said what she strongly felt her position was on SB 29. Everybody respected one another, and that's not what if you listen to the overall media, you would think that nobody got along, when in reality we could use more of what we saw in our Texas Senate everywhere, because they did get along. They walked through their differences and just kind of said, okay, this is pending. We're going to go through it. We're going to go back through this again and figure out where we stand. And that's all you can ask for at the end of the day with your politicians. That's really all you can ask for, is for them to be thoughtful and mindful of the process. And that's one of the things I took away from it, that we are still who we say we are, no matter what anyone else is saying.
Now, kind of going off of what you just said about, made up of Democrats and Republicans, when you're speaking about either the House bill or the Senate bill, is there any reason why one party should not support one of the bills over the other?
Well, there is absolutely, positively no reason why they should support House Bill 4015. It is a bipartisan issue. Everyone is affected by chronic kidney disease. 1 in 3 people is at risk for chronic kidney disease. So that means chronic kidney disease doesn't know a socioeconomic group. It doesn't know one ethnic group. Chronic kidney disease affects everyone. It affects African Americans, Hispanic people, white people, Asian people. Every single people group is dealing with this matter. So, in terms of Republican and Democrat, each one of them has constituents that are dealing with this matter. It is a Texas issue, not a Republican or Democrat issue.
And so when you speak on that, it also brings the factor to me that no matter what side, or it doesn't discriminate against what side, it's financially affecting both sides
That's
drastically.
right. That's right. You're talking about $88,000 per person per year that's on end-stage renal disease. Now, that has end-stage renal disease, so that means they're on dialysis. And let's put that in perspective. We have 57,000 dialysis patients in the state of Texas currently. So that's over $4 billion, right? Just shy of $5 billion. And that's just the rudimentary numbers. We're not talking about, that's the Medicaid and Medicare numbers. We're not talking about what private insurance is paying.
But you said that that's just in dialysis clinics.
And that's just in dialysis clinics. That's just in dialysis clinics. We haven't hit the cost of CKD. That's chronic kidney disease. So stages 1 to 4 of kidney disease. So we're not touching that. That $5 billion isn't affected by this. Now, if we're looking at the numbers that are national numbers, nationally, chronic kidney disease costs 3 times what end-stage renal disease costs. So if our numbers in our state, we hold 10% of the end-stage renal disease population. So that makes us
10% of the United States.
Of the United States ESRD population. So that makes us the largest group of end-stage renal disease patients in the nation. We also reflect that number in our chronic kidney disease population. We vacillate back and forth between us and California, but we are one of the largest populations of people in absolute numbers with the diseases. So if our percentages are the same, if it looks the same, or even remotely the same, you're talking about another $15 billion just in CKD.
How much?
And that's a year.
How much money does the state of Texas currently have in its rainy day fund?
In our rainy day fund, I believe,
roughly,
last time I checked, it was like $13 billion, $17 billion.
And so that, I guess, kind of brings me to the next point. So if you look at the step and repeat behind you, Texas Kidney Foundation, it says
That's right.
Silent but deadly. Just as a reminder.
Silent but deadly. Chronic kidney disease is a silent but deadly disease. You do not show symptoms of chronic kidney disease. Not anything that would make you go, I'm sick, I need to go to a doctor. You don't feel bad. You don't start feeling bad until you're in the end stages of renal disease and your kidneys are about to fail. So that's how, we were looking at this process and using focus groups and all of this good stuff. And our team came up with silent but deadly. That was actually a phrase coined by Zach. And then we ran it past the focus groups with a whole bunch of other phrases, and the focus group was like, this for sure is the best one. Because it really does identify kidney disease. It is a silent killer. And I think the worst part about the disease is that, when you talk about it and say, oh, yeah, it's a silent killer. It's destroying people's health. Kidney disease is almost overwhelming because what happens is if you go into end-stage renal disease, you end up on dialysis. Then we're talking about a process where your blood is being taken out of your body and cleansed 3 to 4 times a week. It takes 3 to 5 hours each session. So your life is completely changed. The way the disease affects each person is different. But the one thing that is for sure is that your life is never going to be the same, because you all of a sudden have something that has invaded your life, your family's life. The entire family is dealing with this now. It's not uh, a simple process, and it's not something that you can just, we've got a quick fix for. Dialysis isn't a quick fix for kidney disease. It's tough, and the people who take care of us in those dialysis units, they become like family, because you see them more than you see your own flesh and blood. Luckily, we have some of the warmest, nicest people that you could meet working in dialysis units across this state, and there are over 750 of them. So you can see how important and how pervasive kidney disease is. That's where Silent but Deadly came from. Is we have to make people realize kidney disease isn't just something that you need to check into. Kidney disease is something that you must check. You must check your kidneys. If you've been diagnosed with diabetes, hypertension, you have cardiovascular disease, obesity, those are the leading factors for kidney disease. You have to get your kidneys checked. You won't know that you feel bad. You won't know that you have kidney disease unless you have your blood checked and your albumin checked, and that would be your urine.
So Silent but Deadly, what were the specific, what was the specific reasons it was created?
For early detection of chronic kidney disease. Our goal is to identify the disease, educate people about the disease. So educate those who have it and those who don't about kidney disease, and then support them as they walk through the journey of kidney disease. You don't tell someone that they have a chronic illness and then walk off. Texas Kidney Foundation is in it for the long haul. So once we educate a person about, okay, here are the first steps. This is what's going on with your body. Yes, you do you are showing staging for kidney disease. Here's where we're going next. So then we go with a behavioral therapist and a renal dietitian. Our next step is to them, so that we can get those kidney patients taken care of.
You said a lifestyle coach. What organization?
We work with a wonderful organization called It's Time Texas. It's Time Texas has renal dietitians, and that is different from a regular dietitian. Regular dietitians are great, but if you have kidney disease, you need a renal dietitian. A renal dietitian is educated in what is good for the kidneys. So, like for example, I say this all the time, something that everybody thinks is healthy, spinach. It's healthy for everybody except kidney patients. So you would need a renal dietitian to be able to identify what works and what doesn't work, and evaluate your diet. What are you eating as a family? How can you eat within your footprint, within your financial footprint? What can you do? How can you eat within the stores that you're shopping at? Because there's different food available. If you're on the east side of San Antonio, than is available on the north side of San Antonio. So how do you eat within the footprint of what is available to you? We have nothing in this state. If we have a big rainy day fund and a big budget, but no people. If our population is sick, we have nothing. the most important commodity that the state of Texas has for in terms of domestic commodities, if we want to talk in those terms, is the people of our great state. So our health and the health of every single Texan is of tantamount importance to Texas Kidney Foundation, and it should be to anybody who's listening to this broadcast, because all of us, when you look around, think about that. 1 in 3 people is at risk for kidney disease. So when you go to church and you're looking around, somebody on those pews, many somebodies on those pews, are walking around with some stage of kidney disease and they don't know it. When you go to the grocery store, people are walking around with some stage of kidney disease. You are looking at people living their lives with some stage of kidney disease and unaware of it. When you go to family reunions, you're seeing the same thing. So there isn't anybody that's not affected by it. And we need to start thinking in terms of our brothers and sisters, thinking in terms of the people around us. Are you your brother's keeper? Yes, you are. And let's start thinking and acting like that, because that's who we are. That's who we've always been as Texans. So, let's just keep doing us. We can show them better than we can tell them. I always think about that. My granddaddy used to say it all the time. We got to show them better than we can tell them, Tippy. He used to call me Tippy. Don't start calling me that, Zach.
So another question. On, what was it, Wednesday night, I believe, is when we were in Austin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You had the privilege of going out to dinner with somebody after the Capitol. 2 questions. 1, where was it that y'all went? And how was the food? And 2, who was it that you went to dinner with?
I went to dinner with my favorite Austinite, well, one of my favorites, Cassie Daniel. And we went to Chewy's. Oh my gosh, it was so yummy. It was very, very yummy. Chewy's is a good place.
I don't want to get us in trouble, but did they have a kidney-friendly diet?
Okay, so I'm not going to answer that for fear of... But you can make little tweaks to anything that you're having out, and make it kidney friendly. That is the whole point in a kidney friendly, in having a renal dietitian and working with renal dietitians. But we did not eat kidney friendly. I don't. The enchiladas I had probably were not, but they were super yummy.
And you said you were at dinner with who?
Cassie Daniel.
And how does she relate to the big picture? Or what position or role does she play with everything?
Well, I have to say, the governor of our great state, when Texas Kidney Foundation went to see the governor's office, Governor Greg Abbott's office, and I had the pleasure of meeting Cassie. The governor's office listened to our thoughts on what needed to happen with kidney patients. They listened. Just, hey, we want to hear from our constituents. We want to know where y'all stand and what you think. Because one of the things that I find interesting, I've heard this from legislator after legislator. They tell me the same thing. Hey, we don't come up with all the ideas on what should be done. We actually look to advocates like you and like Texas Kidney Foundation's team to help guide us, because you're out there in the trenches. So we want to hear what you all are doing and what your thoughts are. I mean, they have been just wonderful to us in terms of guidance and help, and just cheering us on when we're trying to make change happen. this governor has done a good job of putting together people who are looking at the weightiest problems and not shrinking back from them, because it's tough to do his job, and it's tough to be in charge of a state when we are in a healthcare crisis. We've got a pandemic happening. We've got a pandemic happening that is actually uh, with a disease that's actually capitalizing on underlying conditions. So the very things that make us vulnerable are making us even more vulnerable. The very underlying conditions, diabetes and hypertension, that were already a difficult problem to tackle, that have already proven to be very challenging in the healthcare realm, are now exacerbated by COVID-19. Because in the, let's just take kidneys. In the world of chronic kidney disease, 46% of the people who are being admitted into the hospital with COVID-19 are leaving the hospital with some stage of kidney disease. If that hospitalized population is reflective of the non-hospitalized population, we are facing a big problem. To be the governor at this time, to be anybody who's working in healthcare at this time, it's a difficult moment. And it takes that Texas ingenuity. It takes a person who's willing to say, you know what, I got the faith of a mustard seed. I've got way more faith than a mustard seed, and we're going to see this through and save as many lives as we can while we're doing it. And that's what the Texas Kidney Foundation team does. That's what the governor's team does. So I always enjoy getting to visit with them, because we're just one problem that they're dealing with. Healthcare is just one aspect of what they're dealing with. They're literally taking on everything that is good, bad, and indifferent in our state, and trying to work together for a consensus on solving the problems they can solve. So it's always a pleasure to visit with them.
So you had a big legislative week last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you'll expand more on it on the outcome in the future, but you have some more legislative news coming up of a field trip you're taking tomorrow morning.
Yep. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to sit before the Commissioner's Court, which is amazing. The Commissioner's Court is going to hear about silent but deadly. I can't even express how exciting that this is. Like, now, I'm just going to say from my personal perspective, like having, I took this job because I've lost 9 family members to kidney disease, and I just wanted to know what happened. I was trying to figure out what happened, because when I say I've lost 9 family members to it, it just sounds like a soundbite, right? But I remember all of these people. I know them. I know their kids. I remember their lives, and for their lives to have been hastened, I needed to know what was it? What is this? And why are so many people dying? Because I felt like there had to be a genetic link, and everyone was telling me that there wasn't. But guess what? There is. It's called APOL1. And last week, one of the things that happened last week is the first paper that I've sat on and was one of the authors on for APOL1 came out. So when people say, "Won't God do it?" Yes, He will. I went from just trying to find out what was going on to actually finding the answer, which was a gentleman uh, over at Harvard University who discovered that genetic link. His name is Dr. Martin Pollock, and Dr. Pollock discovered it in 2010. It wasn't out in the public. People didn't know about it. And I went to a stakeholders meeting in 2017 and found out about it and talked to him and talked to Dr. Jeffrey Kopp and just the some of the best minds in the world for kidneys. Like I was really geeking out, but they explained it all to me and really helped me to understand the importance of it. And I was able to study and learn and help to move the ball down the field for kidney patients. You know, when you think that you can't, just remember one person can make a huge difference. A group of people, a group of like-minded people can change the world. And I've been so blessed to be able to find a group of like-minded people to join with and just make a lot of change. We have brought the best of the best. People who are going to think through a problem like no one else. And all we need is the funding to execute and find the disease early. We have Healthy IO. We have the best technology. It's an ACR, which is an albumin creatinine ratio technology. But what's cool about it is that they mail you a test kit to your house. So you're not at risk for all of the other things that are going on around us. You take the test in the luxury of your own home. Within the test kit, there is a little place for you to put your test strip. Then you scan with your smartphone a QR code, and it gives you your results right there. You get your results right then. Okay. Best technology. One of the best technologies that we can provide, and one of the most convenient. The other technology that we have in person, and we have 10,000 of them. We have 10,000 of the Healthy IO kits to mail to our constituents right here in San Antonio. Then we've partnered with another company, Nova Biomedical, who we've had a long-standing relationship with since 2013. And Nova Biomedical provides a point of care meter, which is all over Europe, and 200 farmacie in Italy. And what it does is it tests the blood, and we can do it right there. It stages you for it will tell you what stage of kidney disease you have, if you have any. We find the disease when we're doing just an open call to general community. We find it in 34 to 36% of the people that we screen. When we do a targeted call to people who have one of the factors that really lead to kidney disease, like diabetes, hypertension. We do a targeted call specifically for diabetes over and over again because it's so prevalent here in San Antonio and on down through the border area. Then we find it in 56% of the people that we test. So it is very prevalent, and that test takes about 10 minutes. It's easy, it's quick, it's just as if you were testing for blood glucose. And when we do the point of care test with the creatinine meter, it's also a free test, and it's a fast way for you to find out where you stand and how your kidneys are functioning.
Now we're almost out of time, but really quick, I believe we have two pretty big events coming up this weekend, correct?
Yes, we do.
What are they and where are they?
We have a health fair with SACAM, the San Antonio Archive and Museum. We're combining with them and Methodist Hospital so that we can provide a variety of services. It's going to be at La Viejita. So just head on over to La Viejita, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we will be providing free screenings with Texas Kidney Foundation. I believe they will be doing HIV testing there. And they're going to have like a variety of health options when you come in. So take a look at it. And if you have time, come and stop by and take one of the free tests. Find out where your kidneys, what your kidney function is. Then we have another event. So that's on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the 25th, we will be at Sacred Heart Church. And we will be performing free kidney screenings after Mass and before Mass. And you can come on over to the hall there. So if you're going into the church, you just look to the left, you will see the hall. You can come in, and I think they're selling some treats too. Now I don't know if those are kidney friendly. I can't tell you whether they are or not. But come and get your free screening. And we're gonna start screening there at 8, and I believe it's over at 1. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us, with me talking about Texas Kidney Foundation, and with On the Record with Tiffany and my good friend Zach. Thank you, Zach, for spending the time to put me in the hot seat. And I will see you next week. Remember that we are more alike than we are different. And together we can change the world right here from San Antonio, Texas. And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany.